It started like a regular night in New Orleans. Bright lights, loud crowds, and that southern chaos that never sleeps. But when Lil Durk's crew rolled into town, it didn't feel like another concert weekend. It felt like war drums. Within hours, the city that birthed jazz was pulsing to the rhythm of rap beef. Phones were out, cameras rolling, and the whispers started spreading faster than Bourbon Street shots. Durk's people here. Young boy not gonna like this. Cops already watching. By midnight, it wasn't rumor anymore. It was collision. Lil Durk and NBA Youngboy have been locked in one of the most toxic feuds in hip-hop. But this time, the tension didn't stay on Instagram. It spilled into real streets. Durk's crew was spotted in Youngboy's city, exchanging words with locals, flexing energy that screamed disrespect. Security started moving weird. Fans felt it in the air, and the police scanners lit up like a Christmas tree. Reports of disturbances, arguments, and possible armed affiliates. When New Orleans cops show up to a rap feud, you know the night's about to go left. And then it happened. The confrontation everyone feared. The moment when the feud went from subliminals to sidewalks. Some call it provocation, others call it strategy. But one thing's for sure, Durk's camp wasn't there for peace. They were making a statement. Youngboy's response, swift, loud, and unapologetic. Suddenly, cops were swarming, fans were ducking, and social media was erupting. This wasn't just another headline. It was history in motion. So buckle up, because tonight, we're diving into the chaos, the confrontation, and the aftermath of a night that turned New Orleans into ground zero for the biggest rivalry in modern rap. This is the story they tried to keep off the record. New Orleans was supposed to be lit for all the right reasons. Concerts, celebrations, and fans turning up under the streetlights. But when Lil Durk's crew arrived, the vibe shifted. They didn't touch down quietly. They landed like a message. The type of message that says, "We're here, and we don't care who's watching." The tension started before anyone even stepped inside a club. Word had already reached the city that Durk's people were moving through Youngboy's territory. Not just any city, his city, the home base, the stronghold. You could feel the energy change like thunder before a storm. The rivalry between Lil Durk and NBA Youngboy has been building for years, fueled by music, loyalty, and tragedy. It's not just two rappers trading bars. It's two entire worlds colliding. Durk carries Chicago in his DNA, a survivor who turned loss into legend. Youngboy runs Louisiana like royalty, a symbol of rebellion who built an empire without bending to industry rules. They're two alphas from opposite trenches, raised on pain and powered by pride. So when Durk's affiliates pulled up in New Orleans, it wasn't sightseeing. It was a statement carved into concrete. It started subtly. Members from Durk's camp began posting their location, tagging spots just miles from where Youngboy's people usually hang out. It was enough to make fans' phones explode. Within minutes, the blogs had it. Lil Durk affiliates in New Orleans spotted downtown. Screenshots turned into theories, and theories turned into full-blown chaos. People started guessing whether this was a setup, a warning, or the prelude to something bigger. Because in hip-hop, showing up uninvited in your rival's city isn't coincidence. It's chess. Locals say it started inside a venue where Youngboy's name was playing through speakers. A few of Durk's associates allegedly made comments that were anything but friendly. Security stepped in before things got physical, but the damage was done. The whispers began moving faster than the music. Durk's crew in the city. They trying to send a message, and in an instant, the story became bigger than anyone could control. New Orleans police had been on edge all weekend. They already increased patrols due to Youngboy's concerts. Over 400 officers deployed just to keep things safe. That kind of security presence doesn't happen for fun. It's preparation for chaos. When reports started coming in about heated altercations involving Durk's affiliates, law enforcement didn't wait for proof. They moved, lights flashed, cars surrounded the area, and word spread that cops were responding to what they called a developing disturbance. Fans inside thought they heard shots. Social media turned that into fact within seconds. "Gunfire at the concert!" tweets screamed. But official reports later called it a false alarm. Still, when the energy feels dangerous, the truth doesn't matter. Perception becomes reality. By the time police confirmed there was no gunfire, the internet had already written its own version of the story. Clips surfaced showing Durk's guys surrounded by fans yelling Youngboy's lyrics. The crowd was divided, half cheering, half booing. You could see the smirks, the stares. The silent communication that said, "We know what this means." It wasn't about fists or weapons. It was about respect, or the lack of it. NBA Youngboy's camp didn't stay silent. People close to him posted cryptic messages almost immediately. "Don't test what you can't handle." Another one said, "The city don't welcome everybody." No names, but no guessing required. Everyone knew who they meant. The war of words had moved from records to real streets. Durk's camp responded with equally subtle but cutting shade. "We move where we want." That one caption alone sparked thousands of retweets and a storm of reactions. The fans loved it. They ate it up like a Netflix drama unfolding in real time. Comment sections turned into war zones. "Durk owns this. Why be the king of the South? Police better be ready." And while the internet laughed, the people on the ground knew how fast situations like this could turn deadly. Because behind every viral clip, there's real tension. Behind every emoji, there's a bullet waiting for an excuse. Both rappers have been through too much loss to not understand the stakes. Durk's seen close friends taken by violence. Youngboy's life has been a constant fight against his own surroundings. They're not just rappers. They're survivors of a culture that rewards toughness and punishes hesitation. So when these two forces overlap, every move feels like a test. Who blinks first? Who folds? Who stands on business? As the night continued, fans in New Orleans were buzzing. Some said Durk's crew was headed toward the French Quarter. Others claimed Youngboy's people were following from a distance. Police scanners were active. Helicopters hovered. Cops weren't taking any chances. Even the city's nightlife started slowing down. Clubs turned down their volume. Bartenders whispered updates. Nobody wanted to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. And then came the moment that broke the internet. A clip, blurry but powerful, showed members from both sides yelling in the distance. Security tried to separate them, but it looked tense enough to freeze the frame. The caption read, "Durk's guys run into YB's people in New Orleans." Whether it was true or not didn't matter. The clip went viral instantly. You could almost hear the world gasp. Within hours, national blogs picked it up. "Rap war in New Orleans," one headline read. Another wrote, "Durk's crew and Youngboy affiliates confrontation sparks police response." It was official. The tension wasn't hidden anymore. It was broadcasted worldwide. And while fans turned it into content, the people involved were dealing with real consequences. The cops increased their presence across the French Quarter, expecting retaliation. Even the mayor's office released a statement urging calm, emphasizing no credible threat, but clearly worried about escalation. Behind the scenes, promoters cancelled smaller events, citing safety concerns. Venues started refusing bookings that involved either name. That's how deep the tension ran. The entire city's nightlife went on alert. But for Durk's team, the message had been sent. They didn't have to throw punches or pull weapons. Just showing up in Youngboy's hometown was enough to shake the table. For them, it was about dominance, showing that they weren't afraid of any location, any city, any name. For Youngboy's side, it was about defending pride, keeping the home crown from being touched. The funny thing is, neither Durk nor Youngboy said much publicly that night. They didn't have to. Their silence was louder than their words. Because when leaders stay quiet, the streets start speaking for them. And in this war, the streets talk in all caps. Fans started speculating what would happen next. Was a response track coming? Would Youngboy retaliate musically? Would Durk double down? Everyone had theories, and none of them included peace. The entire rap world was watching two titans circling each other, and New Orleans was the battlefield. By the time dawn broke, the city had survived the night. Barely. No major violence, no confirmed injuries. But what remained was tension thick enough to choke on. Every side had won something and lost something at the same time. Durk's crew had made their point. Youngboy's city had defended its reputation. But the war wasn't over, not even close. Because in the world of hip-hop, battles like this don't end with cops or crowds. They end when one name outlasts the other. And after New Orleans, both sides were more determined than ever to claim that victory. The beef had evolved. It wasn't about songs anymore. It was about legacy, and legacy always comes with a body count. By the next morning, social media had turned into a digital war zone. Every blog, fan page, and gossip account had a breaking update on the Lil Durk versus NBA Youngboy situation. Clips of the New Orleans chaos were looping non-stop. Some slowed down, some over-edited, and most completely taken out of context. The truth didn't matter anymore. The narrative did. And right now, the narrative was explosive. Fans on Twitter were arguing like lawyers at trial. Team Durk claimed victory, saying he walked through Youngboy's city untouched. Team YB fired back with, he walked in loud and left quiet. Every tweet felt like a punchline. You could practically see the digital smoke rising. This wasn't just rap beef anymore. This was a cultural event. People were analyzing body language, zooming in on clips, claiming to hear secret dices. It was like the Zapruder film, but for hip-hop chaos. Meanwhile, big names in the industry started reacting. DJ Academics dropped a post stirring the pot, saying the situation shows who's really running the streets. Boozy posted on IG, half laughing, half worried, calling it disrespectful but entertaining. Lil Baby and 21 Savage avoided commenting directly, but fans noticed the likes, those little digital fingerprints that say everything without a word. Everyone wanted to know the same thing. What's next? Durk's camp played it perfectly. They didn't over-explain, didn't apologize, didn't backtrack. They let the tension marinate. Silence became their weapon. The absence of words made people talk louder. It's the oldest street trick in the book. Say less, and they'll write novels for you. Meanwhile, NBA Youngboy's energy turned icy. He didn't post a single word for 24 hours, and that silence was scarier than any rant could have been. His fans started saying, he's plotting. Others swore he was about to drop something crazy. That's when the music got involved. Spotify streams for both rappers spiked overnight. People started revisiting old diss tracks, decoding lyrics like secret messages. Youngboy's Bring the Hook and Durk's Aha were suddenly back on trending charts. You couldn't scroll through TikTok without hearing fans debating lines like, this ain't no G, this that smoking Von Pack. Every bar felt heavier in context. It was like both men had written their warnings years ahead of this night. Then came the memes. Ruthless, clever, and viral. One showed Lil Durk standing in front of the New Orleans skyline with the caption, tourist. Nah, terrorist. Another featured NBA Youngboy smirking with police sirens edited in the background, reading, the city on lockdown, again. The internet turned tension into comedy, because that's what the internet does. But underneath the laughs, everyone knew this wasn't a game. Behind the scenes, the police department wasn't amused. The NOPD released a statement saying there was no active threat, but privately, insiders admitted they were monitoring the situation closely. Local promoters started cancelling events related to either artist. Venues didn't want to risk another viral incident. They'd seen what happened in Chicago, Houston, and Atlanta. Rap beef doesn't stay lyrical for long. It bleeds into the streets, literally. What made this entire situation more complicated was how public it was. In the past, rivalries stayed in the streets or the studio. But in 2025, everything's documented. Every smirk, every caption, every movement. It's all on camera. So when Durk's affiliates were spotted again later that evening in the French Quarter, fans went into a frenzy. Was this round two? Were they daring Youngboy to react? The comments exploded with theories. Some said Durk's people were simply cooling. Others swore they were hunting. Either way, the internet didn't sleep. At the same time, industry insiders started whispering about what this meant for both rappers' careers. Youngboy has always been known as unpredictable, the outlaw energy that refuses to be contained. But Durk, he's been evolving into something more corporate, more calculated. For him to make a move like this, it was shocking. Some saw it as a marketing stunt, others saw it as pure pride. But one thing everyone agreed on, this move wasn't made out of fear. As night fell again, new rumors started. Allegedly, a car linked to Durk's entourage was stopped by police near Canal Street. Officers reportedly questioned several individuals but released them without charges. The story blew up instantly. Durk's crew detained in NOLA, headlines screamed. Even though nothing illegal was found, the optics were enough to fuel another round of chaos. Every blog twisted it differently. Some claimed Durk's team was arrested. Others said questioned. The truth didn't matter. The spectacle did. Meanwhile, Youngboy finally broke his silence. Not through words, but through music. He posted a snippet on Instagram Live. No caption, no promo, just a few seconds of him in the studio, looking dead into the camera and rapping. Don't send no tourists through my city if they ain't built for the weather. The internet lost it. That one line became an instant meme, a headline, and a battle cry. He didn't name names, but everyone knew exactly who it was aimed at. It was the calmest, coldest threat imaginable. Durk responded the only way he knows how: confidence. Hours later, he posted a clip of him in the studio too. The caption read, "Never needed a map to move through another man's city." No hashtags, no emojis, just a statement that echoed like thunder. Fans immediately started calling it a silent war. 2 rappers, 2 posts, 2 warning shots, and millions of people watching like it was pay-per-view. At this point, the tension wasn't about physical confrontation anymore. It was about dominance. Who controls the narrative? Who bends first? Who can make the other one blink without lifting a finger? It was a psychological standoff disguised as a music beef. Every new development added another layer to the myth. The blogs were feasting. YouTubers dropped explainers, claiming inside info. TikTok creators were stitching clips, pretending to be on the scene. Twitter accounts claimed to have audio proof of behind-the-scenes calls. It was hysteria at its finest. Everyone wanted to be the first to break the next twist, even if it meant creating one out of thin air. But beneath all that noise, the real story wasn't online. It was on the ground. People who were actually in New Orleans said they'd never seen that kind of tension in years. Locals were nervous, promoters were cautious, and cops were everywhere. The city that thrives on chaos was now quietly holding its breath. Even though no official violence happened, the fear alone was enough to make people stay home. Concerts emptied, clubs saw record-low turnouts. It was like the energy had been drained from the nightlife. The tourists didn't understand it, but locals did. Something had shifted. When 2 of the most powerful rap factions in the country start crossing paths in your city, you don't play brave. You play careful. And that's the part Netflix or documentaries would never capture. The invisible war. The type of moment where everyone's smiling in public but texting warnings in private. The kind of silence that feels louder than gunfire. Durk and Youngboy had turned a rap rivalry into a modern myth. Every glance, every lyric, every location tag now meant something. They weren't just competing for streams anymore. They were fighting for legacy, pride, and psychological territory. New Orleans became the stage, and the world was the audience. This wasn't the first hip-hop feud to go viral, but it was the first time fans watched it unfold live, minute by minute, like an episode with no end. Everyone kept refreshing, waiting for the next post, the next diss, the next spark. It was dangerous, fascinating, and addictive all at once, and as the city quieted down after 2 days of madness, one thing was clear. This wasn't over. It wasn't even close. The calm that followed felt fake, like everyone was holding their breath before the next explosion. The blogs went silent, but insiders whispered that both sides were regrouping. Because in this game, it's never if something happens again. It's only when. The calm that settled over New Orleans after the storm felt like a setup, not a resolution. The flashing lights were gone, the sirens were silent, but the air still buzzed with tension. The streets were talking in whispers. Everyone knew the cops had gone home, but the beef hadn't. This wasn't just about 2 rappers. It was about power, territory, and pride. Lil Durk's crew had touched ground where few dared, and even though no shots were fired, the message had been sent loud enough for the whole industry to hear. By sunrise, both camps were already moving differently. Durk's team went low-key, no more flashy posts, no more public moves. It wasn't retreat, it was recalibration. They had done their job, proved they could walk through Youngboy's city without flinching. But Youngboy's camp, they were burning with silent rage. To them, this wasn't a PR stunt, it was disrespect on sacred ground. For someone like NBA Youngboy, whose reputation was built on dominance and defiance, that kind of violation couldn't go unanswered. Fans began noticing small shifts. Youngboy's affiliates started posting cryptic messages about loyalty, home, and energy. One post read, "They came for views, not victory." It wasn't much, but it was enough to stir chaos online again. People began theorizing that a diss track was on the way. Meanwhile, Durk's inner circle was playing chess behind the scenes. His producers started teasing snippets that sounded suspiciously like response material. Heavy bass, sharp delivery, dark undertones. The war had moved from the streets to the studio, but it wasn't just lyrics being crafted. It was narratives. Both camps understood that perception is the new weapon. If you can't win the battle in the streets, you win it in the feed. And in that arena, timing is everything. Timing is everything. Durk had the momentum. He was trending for pulling up. Youngboy had the legacy. He was the one defending home turf. The clash of those forces created a digital earthquake. Every move they made was dissected by millions. Even their silence spoke louder than interviews. Then came the first real aftershock. Youngboy dropped a short video, no words, no music, just him walking outside his mansion in Baton Rouge, smoking, eyes cold, camera zooming in on a chain that read, "Never broke again." He didn't need to say Durk's name. The caption was simple, "Still breathing." Within minutes, the clip hit 1 million views. Fans went wild. He's taunting them. He's reminding everyone who runs Louisiana. That 1 minute of silence had more energy than 1,000 diss tracks. Durk's camp didn't let it slide. A few hours later, one of his producers tweeted, "If you're still breathing, you're still worried." The tweet blew up instantly. Everyone knew who it was aimed at. Within hours, both names were trending again. Media outlets tried to catch statements, but both rappers stayed quiet. That silence was the power move. Let everyone else do the talking while they worked behind the scenes. The industry was on high alert. Promoters started postponing upcoming shows in nearby cities. Just in case things escalated, insurance companies began revising coverage clauses for artist-related incidents. That's how serious it got. When rappers move like chess pieces, the business world adjusts like pawns. No one wanted to be the venue that hosted round 2, but the fans weren't ready to let it fade. The internet thrives on fire, and this feud was gasoline. TikTokers were editing clips of both rappers side by side, captioned, "Who really run it?" YouTube reactors were breaking down lyrics, facial expressions, even the color of their clothes. Every detail became a clue. Some creators even posted fake leaked footage, claiming to show confrontations that never happened. The line between truth and myth blurred completely. And that's when it hit. This wasn't just a rap beef anymore. It was modern folklore. King Von and the OTF legacy added weight to Durk's side. Every time someone mentioned Von, the comments flooded with, "He's watching this from above." That emotion kept Durk's supporters loyal, grounded, and ready to defend. Meanwhile, Youngboy's fanbase, the infamous YB Nation, doubled down harder than ever. They spammed every platform with his music, boosted his streams, and declared, "He don't need to talk, he's already winning." It was a fan war, unlike anything the genre had seen in years. Behind closed doors, industry veterans began comparing this to the great rivalries of hip-hop history. Pac and Biggie, Jay and Nas, 50 and Jar, but this one felt more unpredictable. It wasn't confined to records. It was living online, live, breathing, and mutating in real time. The world had never seen two artists hold such massive influence while locked in a silent psychological battle. Every word became a weapon. Every emoji was a threat. Every silence was a strategy. Then came another twist. A leaked phone call surfaced online, allegedly between promoters discussing security concerns for Durk's next appearance. Nobody could verify it, but it didn't matter. The fans believed it. The rumor was that police in multiple cities had been notified to increase security around both rappers' events. Whether true or not, the idea was enough to keep everyone tense. Even other artists started commenting. Kodak Black, always one to stir things up, posted a cryptic tweet. "Your boy's playing too close to the flame." The shade didn't go unnoticed. For the next few days, the energy around both camps became eerie. Every post, every sighting, every upload carried potential consequences. It was like the calm before a storm that everyone could feel but no one could predict. Then Durk dropped a teaser, just one sentence in an Instagram story. "It's up there and stuck there." That single phrase reignited everything. Fans began flooding his comments. New diss incoming? Youngboy better respond. The cycle restarted like a broken record. The cops in New Orleans, meanwhile, were exhausted. They publicly stated again that there were no active threats, but internally, officers were told to monitor online chatter. They knew how quickly words could turn into action. Behind the scenes, both artists' management teams had allegedly reached out to city officials to de-escalate tensions, not for peace, but for logistics. Too much money was on the line. Tours, sponsorships, and branding opportunities all hung in the balance. The streets, though, had their own interpretation. They said Youngboy was planning his comeback statement, not on Instagram, but in person. People started claiming he was seen in different parts of Louisiana, getting ready for something big. Whether that was music or movement, no one could confirm, but it was enough to keep the hype boiling. Weeks passed, and while the internet moved on to the next viral distraction, real fans knew the beef was still alive, just dormant, waiting. Durk started teasing new collaborations, smiling in photos, pretending everything was back to business. Youngboy dropped subtle bars on an unreleased track that fans swore referenced the New Orleans situation. Both sides were pretending to play cool, but everyone knew better, because in rap, peace never sells. Tension does. Every feud, every rivalry, every stare-down between titans becomes part of hip-hop's mythology. And this one, this New Orleans standoff, just wrote its own chapter. It's not about who pulled up or who backed down. It's about what it represented. Two modern legends refusing to bow, turning music into warfare and ego into empire. In the end, no one won, no one lost, but both secured immortality in the culture. Youngboy proved he could hold his throne under pressure. Durk proved he wasn't afraid to challenge it. The streets will keep retelling the story. The fans will keep debating the details, and the industry will keep pretending to act shocked. Because deep down, everyone knows the truth. Chaos keeps hip-hop alive. And after New Orleans, one thing became clear. These two don't just make music, they make history, one headline at a time. And there it is, the chaos they tried to contain, the story they didn't want you to hear. From the streets of Chicago to the heart of New Orleans, this wasn't just a rap beef. This was a power move written in real time. Lil Durk's crew didn't just show up, they made history. NBA Youngboy didn't just respond. He reminded the world why fear and respect often wear the same face. What happened in New Orleans will go down as one of the wildest chapters in hip-hop's ongoing saga of dominance, pride, and legacy. So now the question is, whose city really won? Was it Durk, walking through enemy territory like it was his backyard? Or was it Youngboy, holding down his ground like an unshakable king? You tell me. Drop your thoughts in the comments because the streets are watching, and so are we. Before you scroll, hit that like button like it owes you rent money. Subscribe because the next chapter of this story is already brewing. And ring that bell so you don't miss when it explodes. Around here, we don't wait for the headlines. We create them. This is the rap truth, where every beat has a backstory, every feud has a hidden agenda, and every silence means more than 1,000 words. We don't sugarcoat, we dissect. We don't follow the rumors, we expose the reality behind them. Stay locked in. Because in this game, loyalty shifts fast, respect is currency, and history never sleeps. This is the rap truth, where chaos meets clarity, and legends are made in real time.